Hello friends, welcome to Gyanmandir channel. In our previous class, we already discussed about aims and objectives of Vedic education, curriculum of Vedic education, methods of teaching of Vedic education, teacher-pupil relationship, place of teacher in Vedic education, and forms of educational institution in Vedic period. In our present session, we are going to discuss about salient features of Vedic education in ancient India. The first point is infusion of spiritual and religious values. The primary aim of ancient education was instilling into the minds of pupils a spirit of being pious and religious for glory of God and good of man. The second point is character formation and personality development. In no period of history of India was so much stress laid on character building as in the Vedic period. Wisdom consisted in the practice of moral values, control of senses, and practice of virtues made one a man of character. The teacher and the taught were ideals of morality, for both practices it all through their lives. The Guru in the ancient times realized that the development of personality is the sole aim of education. Third point, development of civics responsibilities and social values. The inculcation of civics values and social values was an equally important objective of education in India. The brahmachari, after his education in the Gurukulas, went back to the society to serve the rich and the poor, to relieve the diseases and the disastered. He was required to be hospitable to the guests and charitable to the needy. Then fourth point is knowledge. Education is knowledge. It is man's third eye. This means that knowledge opens man's inner eye, folding him with spiritual and divine light, which forms the provision for man's journey through life. Fifth point, aims of education. The ultimate aim of education in ancient India was not knowledge as preparation for life in this world or for life beyond, but for complete realization of self, for liberation of the soul from the chains of life, both present and future. Sixth point, methods of instruction. It was a pupil-centered education. No single method of instruction was adopted. Through recitation by pupil followed by expression by the teacher was generally followed. Besides question answer, debate and discussion, storytelling was also adopted according to need. There was no classroom teaching. However, monitorial system was prevalent and senior pupils were appointed to teach juniors. Travel was regarded as necessary to give finishing touch to education. So, the methods of teaching generally practiced during Vedic period were mainly maukhika or oral, and other method was based on chintana. Chintana means thinking or reflection. In the oral method, the students were to memorize the mantras. Mantras means Vedic hymns, and rityas. Rityas means verses of Rig Veda, in order that there might not be changed wrongly and they might remain preserved in their original forms. Next point, medium of instruction. As these educational institutions were managed and organized by Brahmins, and all the books written in Sanskrit. Therefore, the medium of instruction was Sanskrit. Next point is the Upanayana ritual. The word Upanayana means to take close to or to being in touch with. A ceremony called the Upanayana ceremony was performed before the child was taken to his teacher. This ceremony was performed at the ages of 8, 11 and 12 for the Brahmins, Kshatriyas and Vaishyas respectively. The ceremony signaled the child's transition from infancy to childhood and his initiation into educational life. In this context, the term Upanayana means putting the students in touch with his teacher. Next point, students' uniform. How is the students' uniform? The first step in Upanayana is to impose upon the student certain external marks by which he is singled out and recognized as a student. Therefore, the following dress and equipment were prescribed for the student at the time of Upanayana. First uniform name is Ajayana. Ajayana is the upper garment used by a student. This upper garment is made out of the skin of certain animals. The Ajayana for a Brahman student is made out of the skin of Krishna-era black buck. The Ajayana for a Kshatriya was made out of the skin of Rurtu or spotted deer, and the Ajayana for a Vaishya was made out of the skin of Basta or Ajayana goat. Second uniform name is Basa. Basa is the lower garment made of fiber of alasi plant or kusa grass or karpas means cotton. This dress should be woven or manufactured in the home of the student. Then third uniform name is Donda. The student was also required handle a donda or staff of wood of lengths which are different for different castes. The donda should reach off to head in length for a Brahmin, up to the forehead for a Kshatriya and up to nose for a Vaishya. Then fourth one of the uniform name is Mekhala. The uniform of a student also comprise a mekhala or girdle made of different materials for different castes. For Brahmins, munia grass was prescribed. The bowstring was prescribed for the Kshatriya and sana for the Vaishya. Then last uniform name is dressing of hair. Hair of the brahmachari was arranged according to rules. A student cannot have hairstyle according to his sweet will. He should cover the head except the tooth of the hair on the crown. A religious student shall wear either matted locks or a tuft of hair on the crown of his head. Next point of salient features of Vedic education in ancient India is regulations governing student life. Regulations governing student life. The first point is yearly rising. The GOM helps the students to lead a life of discipline and orderly routine. One such discipline was yearly rising. A student had to quiet his bed before sunrise and before his teacher. Then second point of regulation is prayer. A student had to offer his prayer thrice a day, morning, midday and evening. Such worship was known as Sandhya. One had to perform the daily Sandhya outside one's room. The rite of morning Sandhya should be performed in standing, while that of evening Sandhya should be performed in perfect silence till the appearance of stars and plants in the sky. Then third point of regulation is bath. To obtain physical purity, which was intimately connected with mental purity, a student had to take regular bath every day. At the time of bath, he had to mute the hymens to waters. Then, next point is dress. The students had to follow certain regulation in respect of dress. Brahmacharis were using hempen, silicon and woolen clothes. The dress was white and spotless. Next point, food. A student should support himself by begging. He should take his food with due permission of the gum. On seeing food, he should be delegated. He should not speak ill of it. He should mutter prayer at his meal. Next point, sleep. A student should lie on the bare ground. He should sleep on a lower bed than that of his gum and should rise before and sleep after his gum. The next point is celibacy. The students had to observe celibacy. They had to control sexual impulses and should refrain from sexual intercourse. The next point of salient feature of Vedic education in ancient India is age of studentship. The age at which a student begins his education varied from time to time. The period from birth to birth year was regarded as the time for play. After this period, the time for study commenced. Next point, celibacy or brahmacharya. Every student was required to observe celibacy in his specific path of life. Purity of conduct was regarded as of supreme importance. Only the unmarried could become students in Gurukul. Next point is alms systems. The student had to bear the responsibility of feeding both himself and his teacher. This was done through begging for alms, which was not considered bad, since every domestic knew that his own son must be begging for alms in the same way at some other place. The reason behind the introduction of such a practice was that accepting alms includes humility. The student realized that both education and subsequent yearning of livelihood were made possible for him only through society's service and its sympathy. For the poor students, begging for alms was compulsory and unavoided, but even among the prosperous, it was generally accepted practice. Next point, practicability. After from intellectual aspect of education, its practical side was not lost sight of, and along with art, literature and philosophy, students got a working knowledge of animal husbandry, agriculture and other professions of life. In addition to education, in medicine was also imported. Next point, duration of education. In the house of teacher, the student was required to obtain education up to the age of 24, after which he was expected to enter domestic life. Students were divided into three categories. First category is these obtaining education up to the age of 24. This is known as Basu. The second one is this obtaining education up to the age of 36, which is known as Rudra. The third one is this obtaining education up to the age of 48, which is known as Aditya. Then we discuss about curriculum. Although the education of this period was dominated by the study of Vedic literature, historical studies, stories of heroic lives, and discourse on the Purana also formed a part of the syllabus. Students had necessarily to obtain knowledge of matrix. Arithmetic was supplemented by the knowledge of geometry. Students were given knowledge of four Vedas: Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Sam Veda, and Atharva Veda. The syllabus took with in its compass such subjects as spiritual as materialistic knowledge. Vedas, Vedic grammar, arithmetic knowledge of gods, knowledge of absolute, knowledge of ghosts, astronomy, logic, philosophy, ethics, conduct, etc. The richness of the syllabus was responsible of the certain of Brahman literature in this period. Next point, plain living and high thinking. Simple living and high thinking. The education institutions were residential in the form of gurukulas situated in forest, where teachers and pupils lived together. Education imparted was in pure, calm, and charming atmosphere of the gurukulas and ashramas, and emphasis was laid on the development of character through plain living and high thinking. Next point, academic freedom. Due to academic freedom, students remained busy in thinking and meditation. It enhanced originality among them. Next point, high place to Indian culture. Indian culture was full of religious feelings and it was assigned a very high place in the field of education. Vedic culture was kept intact and transmitted through word of mouth to succeeding generations. The ancient Indian education system was also successful in preserving and spreading its culture and literature even without the help of art of writing. It was only because of the destruction of temples and monasteries by invaders that literature was lost. The cultural unity that exists even today in the vast subcontinent is due to the successful preservation and spread of culture, and the credit goes to ancient education system. Next point, commercial education and mathematics education. Commercial education and mathematics education is also one of the chief features of Vedic period. The idea of the scope and nature of commercial education can be held from Manu. Knowledge of commercial geography, needs of the pupil of various localities, exchange value and quality of articles and language spoken at different trade centers were considered necessary. Theory of banking was also included in the course. Though there were no organized educational institutional training was usually imparted in the family. As far as mathematics education is concerned, ancient Indian quite yearly evolved simple system of geometry. Sulabha Sutra are the oldest mathematical works, probably compassed between 400 BC and 200 AD. Aryabhatta is the first great name in Indian mathematicians. The concept of zero also belonged to this period. Last point is female education. During the Vedic age, women were given full status with men. For girls, also the Upanayana was performed, and after that, their education began. They were also required to lead a life of celibacy during education. They were honored and respected in society. Therefore, women education was at its peak at the time. Women were regarded as a great source of power, peace, and knowledge for men. It was true that without women, men could not progress. Therefore, girls during the Vedic period were taught like boys. No distinction was made between the two. The importance of women has been explained in the Vedas days. Manana means reflection was a method specially for highly intelligent who due to their deep scholarship and penasa were regarded as women sages. They used to study the Vedas and other religious and philosophy books. They were free to participate in religious and philosophical discourses. Many Sanghitas of Rig Veda were composed by women. In Gurukulas, the gurus treated male and female pupils alike and made no distinction whatsoever. If you want the PDF of this discussion, join my Telegram channel whose name is Gyan Mandir. If you have any doubt about this topic, you can ask me in comment section. If you like this session, then subscribe the channel for get update of new videos and share with your friends, through which all are benefited from this class. Thank you.